Let's give a big round of applause to the Little America staff that did an amazing job of getting the food out. Thank you very much, Little America. We are indeed fortunate in Wyoming to have a governor and a first lady who support the arts. We're also very honored to have them here with us tonight. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Governor Mark Gordon to the stage for his comments on the state of the arts of Wyoming.
Thank you. Thank you. My goodness, don't you all look just amazing? And we're all here in this great room, and it is wonderful to be together again. So I was thinking about a couple things. You know, this last year, this pandemic year, I was thinking, well, what can I do to open a state of the arts kind of thing? And I was thinking of a wonderful, and I have a very short memory span, so I can't go many stanzas, but I was thinking Lawrence Ferlinghetti. Love is like a cigarette. The bigger the drag, the more you get. And I thought, well, that's a nice statement about the pandemic. But then I thought for this evening, and with all of us together and gathered, and just look at your neighbor and think about how wonderful it is that they're here and you've had this incredible conversation. And I thought Wendell Berry might provide a nice after-meal prayer. So this is Wendell's prayer, prayer after eating. I have taken in the light that quickened eye and leaf. May my brain be bright with praise of what I eat in the brief blaze of motion and thought. May I be worthy of my meat. So as a rancher who raises beef, you know how important that is. So, First Lady, it is my honor to be with you this evening. So thank you for all you do for the Hunger Initiative and for Kids of Wyoming all around Wyoming. So you see, now I know some of you may be very envious about this, but you see that in Wyoming we are blessed, and particularly in Northeast Wyoming. So tonight, not only do the Poet Laureate, Gene, speak to you, but there are other poets here like David Romvet over there. David, very good. And David was sort of part of the ambition of pulling together Worlds of Music, which goes around and brings wonderful bits of music to school kids all around the state. So Paul Taylor, back in the corner there, just got to see. And if you haven't had a chance to hear Paul mesmerize you about the magic of the didgeridoo, make an effort to go see Paul. Because you see, in Wyoming, we really value the arts. We value what the arts bring. We know it to be a part of our culture, and we know it to be so enriching. And it makes something magical happen in Wyoming. It happens really right across the state. It's a little better in the northeast part. But across the state, it's remarkable. So tonight, it is my great joy to be able to tell you the arts are very strong. They're very strong in Wyoming. And in fact, we never really missed a beat. You know, I had the great joy of serving for a while on the UCross Foundation board. And I see Sharon Dynack over there, and Susan Miller, a board member. And I remember something that the founder of the UCross Foundation, Raymond Plank, who was an oil and gas man, and Raymond had this view that it was important, and only in Wyoming was there a chance that you could bring together artists from around the world, oil and gas people, and, you know, cowboys like me, and have them sit down at supper and compare notes and talk with each other. Because in this world today, and I heard this the other day, and it made a lot of sense to me. You know, what we've done over the last year is we have said we are all like fifth graders. You know, there's a fight out in the parking lot after school, and everybody's going to go watch that. Social media makes sure that we watch it very, very carefully. But what we find is that that fight really is irrelevant. You know, a lot of people focus on it. But what's really important is what's going on with people, the conversations we can have, the opportunities we can have to share our views of the world, of each other, and we do that in the arts. So tonight we're blessed to have a lot of legislators with us. And I'm just going to be a little bit political here. You'll notice that this is not the political season in Wyoming. This room is full of people who care about the future of Wyoming. Am I right? Now I'm also going to say something about the legislature. They care about the arts. It's clear. They're here. And if you want to see their work product, just look at the map they've made on how we're going to vote for representatives next year. It's an amazing work of art. But seriously, truly it is wonderful to have you all here this evening, and the people that are going to receive the awards tonight, they're so deserving of your applause and of recognition. Wyoming truly is remarkable. It's remarkable because of our sky. It's remarkable because of the people who live here, the grit that we have, and the fact that regardless of what comes our way, we respect one another. We love the place we live, and we will represent it in the best way that we possibly can. So, tonight, it is truly joyous. And I hope you just turn to your neighbor, just do that right now. Turn to your neighbor and say, thank you for being here, thank you for being part of Wyoming, and thank you for representing the arts. Okay. And lastly, thank you for making sure that our kids understand the value of art. And I'll leave you with one last example. And it comes from David Romvet, who got a bunch of little kids together way back when, and right before Sleep at the Wheel came on at the White Buffalo, which is now gone in Buffalo, Wyoming, he had our kids playing a song, David, it was called Waterbound. I think you spent an entire year. We're slow kids, and there's Margot. Margot, it is so good to see you. A Potter. Unbelievable. Thank you for this evening. And Darren, you had a script here that I was supposed to follow, but it's right there, and I'm supposed to introduce. But thank you again for this evening, and let's really recognize these terrific artists and these terrific performers that we'll see this evening. God bless you. God bless Wyoming. God bless the United States of America.
Stay put. Definitely a lot to be proud of. Thank you very much. Amazing words and something that hopefully will carry us through the rest of this year. Now we're excited to honor the 2020 Governor's Arts Award recipients. So if everyone would please direct their attention to the screens for a short video. Thank you. So I'll leave this.
When I'm teaching art history, part of my role is to give opportunity and empowerment to students.
Dance is something that humankind has done from the dawn of time, and we dance to celebrate, we dance to mourn. I would say dance is what makes us human.
You can see kids that are shy, sometimes kids that stutter, and to me the way that they blossomed in drama was terrific.
I've always said that an unemployed artist is not a very great member of society, so I feel like I'm contributing to the happiness and health of not just my community, but the communities outside of here where these artists live.
If you were looking at art carefully and thinking about what is the difference between a painting by Da Vinci and a painting by Michelangelo, you are looking for very subtle details. I've talked to doctors when they are thinking about a diagnosis for a patient. Maybe they have multiple symptoms, so they need to think about those symptoms in detail with the same nuance that we might apply when looking at works of art. So we're really training our mind, our brain, to see the world around us so carefully. Creative thinkers solve problems, and in the 21st century, we can all look to the creative arts to express ourselves. And in that too, we can find great joy.
We wanted to start a museum, but there wasn't any money to start a museum here in KC. And so I said, oh, I'll write a play. So I wrote a play. And I wrote it, it's called The Whole Truth Behind the Hole in the Wall Gang. It featured old cowboys that had never acted before and was very well received. We made $3,000 and we started a museum. I just reread some of the letters that people had written about how important John was for some arts organizations, particularly this Wyoming Cultural Trust Fund. They were having a small committee meeting, and then John dropped everything else he was doing and came into that meeting, and they stood up and started talking about all the reasons why we needed this and why it should be funded. And at the end of his speech, they decided immediately to fund it completely. The arts just perk you up. We see something that's artistic or hear something that's artistic. It really helps. Access to the arts just enhances your life.
There is so much joy in movement, and we need that joy in our lives. There's a profound effect for the audience. It's fleeting, it's not permanent like a book or a documentary. You can't go back and watch it again. But there is something that's very moving. There is a kinesthetic response that we have to watching. It is something fun, but there's more to it than they really thought. One of the things that we try to instill in our students is that they might not have a career in the arts, but what they will have is an appreciation of the arts and an understanding of why dance is fundamental to human existence.
Looking at works of art that I love, they're ever changing for me, and the things that I really love just get better over time. In the mid-'80s, I worked at Trailside Gallery, and I saw the interaction with the artist and the collector, and how that that creative bridge is crossed. I said, maybe we should go to Cody and start a gallery. And fortunately for us, all of the artists who we'd had relationships with and a history with said yes, and I will be forever grateful. You can never have too many galleries in a place, because the more galleries you have, the more diversity of work that you show, and the more people are exposed to those who see the world differently.
Okay, I'm being coached through this. How about a hand for the amazing people that are with our culture? Darren, your team, you, Sarah, Michael Lang, phenomenal people. And Steve, remarkable. So I have the honor of inviting each and every one of you who has gotten an award to the stage, and it is really, truly an honor to have the opportunity to invite Nancy Schiffer, who has been a friend for a very long time. Nancy, thank you for all that you've done. You know, kids in KC had a chance to learn about Matisse and others because Nancy cared. Nancy was a librarian in the KC school, and she just was a dedicated parent. And Nancy, it is truly amazing to have you here. God bless you.
Thank you. Hey, Derek, where's that script you were going to give Mark? I said, where's that script Derek was going to give you? I did, thank you all. I did actually I also taught 7th and 8th grade social studies and was the drama coach. But I did do for about 5 or 6 years a unit on European history with my 7th grade geography kids when they each took a different artist and looked at European history from the viewpoint of that artist. And I'm proud and happy to say that even though there were nudes involved, even though some of the pictures didn't look like people really looked, Picasso, the kids loved it. And the parents never squawked once. They all were really tickled. They were overjoyed that the kids learned something about it. And kids, they've grown up now, way grown up. But they still come to me and say, oh, I really liked Raphael. Or, gee, that Matisse guy was really cool. And it pleases me. And I'm glad we had such open reception from the people who lived there then. So thank you for bringing that up, Mark. I almost forgot. You may be thinking, gee, a dead guy and a rancher from nowhere? That's what's leading this? But John was truly involved in art from as long as I've known him. He didn't have any talent, and he loved music, but he only sang in the shower, and the dog howled. Well, sometimes the dog liked it. He read the poems in the New Yorker all the time, every week, and he would talk about them to other people. He'd be proud to see 2 Buffalo residents as poet laureates, David Brown Bett and Jean Galliano. He really did love poetry. He read all types of literature and thought about all types of literature. When he came back from Vietnam, he was very torn about the war. He really thought the war was wrong, frankly. And he read everything he could read on it. He read fiction, he read nonfiction, he read articles, he read, and that firmed his thoughts about our intervention in Asia. He encouraged my playwriting and my directing, which was great. And could he dance? He could do the cowboy shuffle with a little bit of rhythm. Ben, my son, are you listening to this? Your wife is a wonderful dancer, so follow her. Don't follow your dad. The visual arts were really important to him, and we managed to visit hundreds of galleries and museums through our life together. And importantly to the state, as a state senator, he did everything he could to enhance the arts and build possibilities for every community in Wyoming. And these which we see and I particularly notice the ones that the Cultural Trust Fund has helped sponsor, the Wyoming Cultural Trust Fund. Some of these activities and projects in the tiniest of towns become the center of the town. And suddenly the town starts to change a little bit and looks at things differently and thinks of things differently, which is an absolute blessing. And John was the person who really did help get the Cultural Trust Fund to start. And I'm proud to serve on their board and excited when we travel around the state and see projects that have happened which would not have happened without us. And thank you, Governor Gordon, and the legislators who continue to support this important granting institution. I've been active in the arts as long as I can remember, not actually producing anything, well, a play or two, but not being an artist, which I always wished I had been, but supporting projects and working with organizations and museums, serving on boards, contributing. But art, like almost all things, is really about the people. And the creation of art takes courage. I think of Susan Stubbson playing Metallica at a classical concert. It was really cool, and this little girl sitting in front of me was going, I mean, she finally liked piano music, but she hadn't before. Steve Shepperman, it takes courage to pronounce his name, I want you to know, but I look at his creative work, and now he's working on creating sculpture with ceramics, which is exciting, and I can't wait to see what comes. All these take risks. These things are hard to do sometimes. And Nicole Crawford, who runs the UW Art Museum beautifully and wonderfully, and is building a great institution. And another risk taker that I adore connected with that with that museum is Susan Summers, without whom we probably wouldn't have Nicole. And brave people are all through all of art, and I love that. I'm a great admirer of artists everywhere. The creation of art takes great courage, as I said. So it's an overwhelming joy for me when I can travel around the state and see and hear art everywhere. In cities, in towns, tiny remote hamlets, mountains, resorts, and prairies and ranches. I believe and love the fact that there is art in all of us. Thank you.
Keep going. So now it is my honor to invite Dr. Margaret Wilson. You've seen her up on the screen. Dr. Margaret Wilson. I will try my soda best.
Well done.
hard act to follow. That was a fabulous accumulation of stories and inspiration, and thank you very much. I have been able to meet the team that I'm on, Team 2020, and really enjoyed getting to know some of the other artists, and I'm very honored to be here. I am honored to have been nominated, to receive this recognition from my colleagues, from the Wyoming Arts Council, and from the Governor of Wyoming. I'm a lifelong resident of Wyoming, and this is a place where I find inspiring mentors and colleagues, rich artistic collaborators, and a place in which I can share these experiences, although my dancing was in Greenland. I am most appreciative of the support from the Department of Theater and Dance at the University of Wyoming, where I have had the privilege of working for almost 40 years. I've been able to collaborate with creative and insightful colleagues, but I've also had the freedom to explore and develop my artistic and scholarly interests. Within the department, every production, every project we do is the cumulative effort of many artists, although usually it's only the director or the choreographer who gets the credit. For example, my most recent production on campus was a vertical dance performance, but I wasn't really sure what I was going to do, and my colleague, scenic designer Scott Tedman Jones, who's with me at my table tonight, said, how about Alice in Wonderland? How about the books of Lewis Carroll? And that sparked an imagination, a fire in me. We had a wonderful collaboration where he developed not only the set, but the costumes. Art doesn't happen in a vacuum, and we are very fortunate to have colleagues to work with who share a passion and who nurture us as artists. I am also a teacher, and my interests intertwine with modern dance, vertical dance, dance history, and I'm fortunate to be able to explore ways to bring these interests and passions together. With my colleagues, we developed the first program in vertical dance as part of our curriculum, and I'm proud to say we also started a BFA in Dance Science. I love to say that, a BFA, a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Dance Science. We're really trying to help dancers understand how to be better at teaching, performing, and it's been an honor to be able to do that. I get to work with young people. They are an inspiration to keep me seeking and to keep playing. They are the next generation of artists, and I look forward to seeing how they develop in the world. Our students at the University of Wyoming have been successful in local, regional, national, and international venues. Some of them have stayed in the state, others have left, but are coming back to the state to give back and provide opportunity for more artistic development. I'm proud of the ability to be able to be part of that legacy. I'm extremely honored to be able to work with artists who also have been recognized with the Governor's Arts Awards. Paul Taylor, who brought Australian culture to a children's program that he and I worked on a long time ago, to vertical dance, to my dance history class, to Wendy Bredehoft and Susan Moldenauer, inspiring visual artists and collaborators. Yeah. And my mentor, my muse, and my closest friend, choreographer Marcia Knight. So vertical dance, it's eye-catching, it's risky, it's dangerous, it's fun. And yet, while I get a lot of credit for vertical dance and I have the opportunity to perform, it wouldn't exist without the inspiration and the artistic development that comes from my partner, Neil Humphrey, who is a professor in geology and geophysics. He's adjunct in physical dance, and my dance partner for life. Whether in our shared classes, theaters, on the outside of buildings in Laramie around the state, on rock faces at Vidavoo, or on the ice in Greenland, where we collaborated with a former student, it is a gift to share something as rich as the art and arts with someone you love. My heartfelt congratulations to the 2020 and 2021 winners of the Governor's Arts Award. I've enjoyed meeting some of you and look forward to meeting others and sharing in the celebration of your work, and offer my congratulations for your dedication and passion for all that you do. And finally, I'm almost done, I want to applaud the tireless and ongoing effort and initiatives of the Wyoming Arts Council. I've been following the Arts Council for a long time, and I'm always impressed with the amount of work, the amount of dedication, and the amount of impact that a small amount of money can have across the state of Wyoming. Thank you, Governor Gordon and your wife, for your support of the arts, and thank you for this honor.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson. It is now a distinct honor also to invite Sue Simpson Gallagher to the stage to give an acceptance address. Sue.
Hi. Thank you, Governor Gordon and First Lady Jenny, the Wyoming Arts Council, and Ken Schuster for nominating me, and Sarah Mentok, Kathy Wiffler, Tim Lawson, Joel Losland, Skip Whitcomb, and Gary and Susan Miller for writing letters in support of my nomination for this award. I'm honored and humbled to accept it, especially because many who have received this award, are institutions and people which I support, and in several cases, whom I love, namely my mom. That's pretty early for me to start crying. Namely my mom, Ann Simpson, and my aunt, Lynn Simpson. Tonight, I want to recognize my cousin, sister friend, Amy Simpson, who is heroically fighting for her life after suffering a stroke last Saturday. For over 30 years, Amy has taught music in elementary schools. Her dedication to the arts and to art education has transformed hundreds of children's lives, and perhaps in the process, saved quite a few. It is Amy's kind of dedication that deserves awards. Still, I accept this award with gratitude. I have spent much of my life immersed in art. I am not an artist, but I am in awe of them. I am fascinated by the influences and experiences in our lives that define us. Fortunately for me, I was raised by still being raised, by open-minded, open-hearted parents who allowed their children to find their bliss and supported them in pursuing it. I found mine pretty early on. My paternal great-grandfather was a painter. My paternal grandmother was a musician and a painter. My parents are self-trained art historians. My oldest brother and uncle are gifted draftsmen. My aunts and uncles, sister-in-laws, nieces, nephews, and cousins are singers, songwriters, drummers, guitar players, jewelry makers, actors, and writers. My family sees the arts as a necessity for a happy, fulfilling life. Growing up in Cody, I had the Buffalo Bill Historical Center as a heart home for me, a place that helped me find and fuel my passion. It is still that. When I was 11 years old, my parents took my brothers and me to Europe. And along with my very hip, fabulous polyester pantsuits from Montgomery Ward's, I was really enthused about most everything on that trip. Even the Charlie horses I received in the back seat of the car, back of the rental car as my dad drove very fast. We went to art museums in every city we visited. We saw symphonies and ballets. We soaked it all in. I came away with not only a lifelong love of down comforters, but an indelible appreciation for great art that changed my life. It set me on a path. I studied art history at Colorado College. My focus was the Italian Renaissance, which enabled me to go to Italy for a few months for an independent study. I studied the Hudson River School of Painting in graduate school, and my parents never once said to me on my journey, "What are you going to do with an art history degree?" Along my way, I found mentors and heroes at every turn. I was at the right place at the right time as a young person in Jackson, Wyoming, who wanted to work and was okay with only skiing on the weekends. When Bill and Jaffa Kerr, Governor's Arts Award recipients in 1997, asked me to be the first curator of the wildlife of the American West Art Museum, now the National Museum of Wildlife Art, it is a place that still feeds my soul. In my life, I'm especially grateful to my husband, John Gallagher, who helped me realize a dream I didn't even know I had, to own an art gallery, and who supports and loves me and is the reason I am not living in a van down by the river. Because I think money is meant to be spent, even if you don't have it. Because of John encouraging me in my vision, I represent incredible artists who are my business partners and my dear friends, and who make me feel validated as an artist of being alive. I have worked with soulmates, people who are the reason I still have the gallery, who allow me the time for volunteering and consulting that energize me. I have developed friendships with clients that are a gift and a surprise. I have amazing friends who love and support me and watch the gallery when I need help and think what I do is worth doing. I'm blessed with two wonderful, kind children, Fiona and Aiden, who know that art makes their lives better and that it makes their mother's heart sing, and that makes them happy. I close with the words of Goethe, not because they make me look erudite and fancy, but because they ring true for me. A man should hear a little music, read a little poetry, and see a fine picture every day of his life, in order that worldly cares may not obliterate the sense of the beautiful which God has implanted in the human soul. Thank you for this wonderful honor.
And now, if I might invite Dr. Valerie Anella Mayers to the stage to give her acceptance address. Dr. Mayers. So when you get a chance to go to Casper College, look at their building.
Governor, First Lady, honorees, and art supporters, especially the Wyoming Arts Council, thank you. This recognition is an honor and a reflection of how we value and support each other in the state of Wyoming. As an educator at Casper College and supporter of the Wyoming Symphony Orchestra, I'm fortunate to be surrounded by art exhibition and the power of live music. I appreciate my family, friends, and many former students here this evening. Students who worked hard in their studies at Casper College and are now art educators, curators, and professional artists. Your work and the initiatives of Wyoming Humanities, UCross Foundation, and the Arts Council, among others, enrich our lives. And when we support the arts and teach the arts, we give voice to multiple manners of expression and build creative minds that rise to any challenge. Even active looking at art cultivates a perceptive, critical eye that reads communication in all forms to better understand ourselves, each other, and our world. The arts can surprise, soothe, shock, and or be a balm to the soul. And my soul is enlightened by the work of those in this room. And I am lucky to be on this life journey in education, explorations of the world through fellowship at the University of Wyoming, and experiencing our history and heritage through our museums, like the NIC and the National Wildlife Museum, the National Historic Trails Interpretive Center, the Werner Wildlife Museum, the State Museum, and so many others. We are truly building a rich state when we support the arts. Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a short 5-minute break, and then while we break down the table, and then we have a wonderful performance for you. I do want to say, if you're going to disappear, you're going to miss the performance, so just sit right there. Everyone. Tonight we will hear from students involved with Off Square Theater Company in Jackson. Wait, one. Yeah, a round of applause. Off Square Theater Company's mission is to produce and present theater of the highest professional standards that inspires, stimulates, and entertains diverse audiences, and to conduct training and educational programs that enhance the quality of life for those they serve. Performing Dentist from Little Shop of Horrors and Season of Love from Rent, please help me welcome Alexia Carmichael, Claire Eddy, Tatum Graham, Dylan Hanna, Oscar Erickson, and Mia Haas.
When I was younger, just a bad little kid, my mama noticed funny things that I did, like shooting puppies with a BB gun. I'd poison guppies, and when I was done, I'd find a pussycat and bash in its head. That's when my mama said,
"What did she say?"
She said, "My boy, I think someday you'll find a way to make your natural tendencies pay. You'll be a dentist.
You'll be a dentist.
Have a talent for causing things pain.
Pain.
Son, be a dentist.
Son, be a dentist.
People will pay you humane.
Humane.
Your temperament's strong for the priesthood, and teaching would suit you still less.
Son, be a dentist. You'll be a success. Here he is, girls, the leader of the plaque. Watch him suck up that gas. Oh my God. He's a dentist and he'll never ever be any good. Who wants their teeth done by a market decide? Oh, that hurts. I'm not numb.
Oh, shut up. Open wide. Here I come. I am your dentist.
Goodness gracious.
I enjoy the career that I picked.
Love it.
I am your dentist.
Goodness gracious.
I get off on the pain I inflict.
Really love it.
When I start extracting those molars, you girls will be screaming like holy rollers.
Dentist.
And though I may cause my patients distress, somewhere in heaven above me, I know that my mama's proud of me. 'Cause I'm a dentist and a success. Say ah.
Ah.
Say ah.
Ah.
Say ah.
Ah.
Now spit.
$525,600 minutes, 525,000 moments, oh dear. 525,600 minutes. How do you measure a year? In daylights, in sunsets, in midnights, in cups of coffee.
In inches,
In miles.
in laughter, in strife, in
525,600 minutes. How do you measure a year in the life?
So, hello? So for this portion of the program, are we feeling like the arts are okay in Wyoming? Yeah. So we're now at the second half of the event, which will now honor the 2021 Governor's Awards recipients. If everyone will please direct their attentions to the screens for a short video.
Art making taps into the pleasure center of your brain, so it makes you feel good while you're doing it.
It wasn't an easy life by any means, and it was captured in his photography.
The arts are bringing a new whole joy to life, and I think people appreciate that.
Arts generally and theater specifically gives us interactions that enhance our lives and grow our community's strength in immeasurable ways.
I can't remember not making things. I draw, I make sculpture, I use clay, I make video animations. Art making is an essential part of being human, and it is one of the sort of inherent sort of drives that we have. I do have a lot of people that I know say, well, I'm not very creative, and I'm like, we need to think about what that actually means. I always want to encourage a broad definition of being creative. So the Art Association provides studio space and classroom space to the Jackson Hole community. We welcome and provide art classes for anyone from preschool to lifelong learners. Art making and art sharing creates an understanding, it creates empathy. Arts is beneficial to mental well-being, physical well-being, and social well-being.
He really did capture the everyday life of the American cowboy in the American West and really showed what they were going through and what they dealt with day after day. He got interested in photography about 1909, and then after moving to the ranch, he started in taking pictures of the West and the way of life out here. Well, I think being out there working with the cowboys and being one himself, he really became one himself, and seeing what was going on out there caught his attention, and he wanted to capture that. He had a horse named Pinky that he really liked, and he trained Pinky to stand perfectly still. He could set up his camera and his tripod and take the pictures. So it really is amazing when you think of packing those glass negatives all over. It's amazing to me the interest that his photography is still bringing. Artists still today are using it, making bronzes. It's used in furniture. It's been used for labels on hot sauce. I think there was a real freedom of lifestyle and the rugged individualism that those people really lived, and it was captured in his photography.
I wouldn't know what to do without the arts, to tell you the truth. It's always been a part of my life. Something inspiring brings another aspect to our lives and enriches our lives. One of the fun parts of being here at the Fine Arts Center is the kids' tours. We have a couple of paintings that were donated by Robert Supke. So I share with the kids, look at these paintings, look how solid those rocks are and very professional looking. And so I asked the kids, what do you think this guy did for a living? And of course they said, well, he was an artist. And I said, well, he had a very different job. He was a football coach for the University of Illinois. The last 10 years or so of his career, he became a painter. And I asked them, what do they think they want to be when they grow up? And I tell them that no matter what you are doing to put food on your table, you can always include the arts. Art doesn't have to be a separate thing. It can be part of their life. That's what we're here for. We are here to make it a part of everybody's life. There's a quote by Kurt Vonnegut. Practicing an art, no matter how well or badly, is a way to make your soul grow. And he says, for heaven's sake, sing in the shower, dance to the radio, tell stories, write a poem to a friend, even a lousy poem. Do it as well as you possibly can. You will get an enormous reward. You will have created something.
James Elliott Bama was born in 1926 in New York City and developed his love of art and drawing while copying Flash Gordon and other comic strips. After serving as a mechanic and mural painter in the Army Air Forces, he used his GI Bill to study with the Art Students League in New York. Starting in the early 1950s, he began a 22-year career as a commercial artist producing paperback book covers, movie posters, and illustrations for the Saturday Evening Post and Reader's Digest. His work includes 62 covers of Bantam's Doc Savage series of paperbacks. After visiting Wyoming several times, James and his wife left New York in 1968 to live in a ranch near Cody, where he began painting Western subjects while still making freelance illustrations. By 1971, the North Fork painter, known for oil paintings with photorealistic appearances, was successfully selling Western art in New York galleries. James' paintings have not only preserved part of Wyoming's culture, but shared it with the rest of the world. Speaking of his adopted state, he is quoted as saying, "Here, an artist can trace the beginnings of Western history, and you can stand surrounded by nature's wonders."
One of the most beautiful joys of theater is that electricity and energy and excitement of being together with a random group of people and laughing at something that could never happen again. It is something that cannot be replaced by viewing anything alone in our home. You know, we try to find the things that speak to our community and our audience and that can connect them. You want to come to one of our Shakespeare shows, you're not going to see Renaissance Shakespeare. You're going to see Shakespeare that's from Wyoming. And it's got our outdoors incorporated into it. In our production of As You Like It, we had some park rangers. Our actors interact with the audience in a very visceral way. And it breaks down some of the barriers that you might traditionally think occur when you turn off the lights and there's a very formal theatrical setting. Participating in theater from the youngest ages to our oldest adults allows you to really develop important life skills that can be hard to come by. Things like self-confidence with public speaking, building relationships with people. It helps you feel alive. And when we lose that and we lose those opportunities to connect, it gets harder and harder to find it again. We were committed before, but we are doubly committed now to what the experience is, because you cannot replace the joy that comes from expressing humanity through that type of shared experience.
This is a little bit like Lawrence of Arabia. If you remember the movie, there was a great moment with an intermission, and then the program got really good. So it would be a great honor again to invite Bronwyn Minton to the stage to give an acceptance address. Bronwyn.
Hello, big, beautiful Wyoming. Good evening. Thank you, Governor Mark Gordon and First Lady. Thank you to the Wyoming Arts Council and the Wyoming Department of State Parks and Cultural Resources. Thank you for recognizing the arts. I am a very reluctant speaker. Bear with me, and I might get emotional. Thank you for recognizing the arts. I am proud to be in the company of the many, many people and organizations who have received this award since it was realized in 1982. That is very old. Some of whom are in this room. I would like to thank Amy Goycochea for her nomination. I would like to thank Sue Simpson Gallagher, Katie Niner, and Jane Levino for writing letters of support. I would like to thank my husband Mike and my son Odin for your undying support and collaboration, and my parents and my grandparents on both sides for being artists and creative people with a lot of encouragement. I have been involved with the Wyoming Arts Council for the better part of the 30 years I've lived in Wyoming, and it has created huge opportunities for me, and I have made many, many friends. The arts are important to me on many levels. I have been able to make my life in Wyoming through the arts. Many other people have too. From the Wyoming Arts Council website, in 2014, the arts employed thousands of Wyomingites and provided 4.7% to our Wyoming economy. Good job, guys. It's probably bigger now. The arts help rural communities thrive. The arts employ critical thinking and problem solving. The arts create empathy through shared experiences. Engaging with the arts enhances physical and mental well-being. The arts help us tell our story. I encourage all of you to go to the theater, go listen to live music, go listen to poetry, read a work by an author, a Wyoming author, visit a museum or a gallery, or buy a cup from a potter and drink your coffee from it. It is a great honor to be recognized for my work as an artist, arts administrator, curator, teacher, and instigator. Thank you so much.
And now this is a special favorite of mine. I would like to invite the family members of Charles Belden, Lily Turnell, Kathy Abar, Margot Belden, if you would come to the stage. Thank you for being here. And anyone else from the Belden family for that matter. You got 5. We got room. You got 7. You got 12. 25. That might be a little crowded, but we'll love you.
Well, thank you, Governor Gordon and Mrs. Gordon, and the Wyoming Arts Council, and all the others involved. with this. First of all, I would like to say we do have 25 members here tonight. Including 2 great-great-great-granddaughters of Charles Belden, whom you've seen running around. Special thanks to the Meeteetse Museum. To David Cunningham, our former director. Alex DeSelms, our interim director and collections manager. And to Amy Phillips, who is our programs director. With their nomination, we really appreciate that they've taken the time and the work to do that. And also to Rachel Saylor, and Mac Frost, who wrote letters of recommendation. We didn't know our grandfather. Our grandfather and grandmother were divorced in the early 40s, but we grew up with his work, surrounded by it, visiting his dark room in the big house, and it was an awesome place to go visit. He said, if a picture doesn't tell a story, it's not worth taking. And that was his motto. In his lifetime, he figured he rode over 60,000 miles taking pictures and working every day on the ranch. Yeah, on horseback. It's pretty amazing when you think of that. And last but not least, I would like to thank my husband, Jack, who had the vision and the foresight to start the Belden Museum to honor our grandfather's work. And then it was, thank you. And then later combined with the Meeteetse Museum. And we're on a cornerstone of Meeteetse, so if you get there, please stop in and see us. We'd love to have you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lily.
Good? All right. Now I would like to invite Deborah Sewell to the stage. Soule.
All right, bear with me because I do get nervous at these things. My role as an art administrator is really behind the scenes, and that's where I'm most comfortable. But I have my notes. I'm so very honored to be recognized with this elite group, and I see the passion that we all share, and that gives that connection. So thank you, Governor Gordon, and of course the Wyoming Arts Council for making this possible. The work I've been doing at the Community Finance Center for 21 years is really the reward. For those who are not familiar with this little gym in Rock Springs, Wyoming, it began 83 years ago at the high school. Their science teacher, Elmer Halseth, shared his knowledge beyond the science classroom. He wanted to help focus the arts on the kid, or focus with the arts for the kids to learn something about culture. He organized the fundraisers. The kids did bake sales, collected scrap metal, because this was late 1930s. And at least one painting has a notation on the back, donated by class of 1941 with carnival proceeds. Over the years, the collection outgrew the school, and again, with his driven passion for the arts, Mr. Halseth made it possible through a federal grant and for rent LDS Church to open the Fine Arts Center, November of 1966. And we just celebrated our 55th anniversary. The CFEC continues to exist due to this unique collaboration between the Sweetwater County School District Number 1, the City of Rock Springs, and Sweetwater County. They came in and bought the building. Then they didn't know what to do with it, and it became part of the library system, the county library system. It's always fun educating new board members and directors of the library system to how this all really works. The directors before me, Mr. Halseth, high school art instructor Alan Keeney, and Gregory Gaylor set a high bar, introducing performances and educational opportunities, not just for the students of Rock Springs, but for the community as a whole. My goals have been to continue those efforts and expand by working in collaboration with many individuals and organizations to promote the arts. So I want to thank those people right now. First and foremost was, a Wyoming legislator, Chad Banks, who nominated me for this. Yeah, Chad, come on. He nominated me for this recognition. He also manages the Rock Springs Main Street and URA organizations, and we often collaborate on art events and projects. And to the many individuals who did write and supported this, I have to acknowledge them because they're who I work with. They're those collaborations that make the arts expand in Rock Springs. Sweetwater County School District Number 1 Board President Carol Jellicoe, Rock Springs Mayor Tim Como, the Rock Springs Chamber of Commerce, Sweetwater Travel and Tourism, Sweetwater BOCES Director Dr. Bernadine Kraft, who is here tonight. Hey, Bernie. The Rock Springs URA Board, Diane Springford of the Wyoming Shakespeare Festival Company, which I know a lot of you are familiar with her work, and she's brought Shakespeare to Rock Springs for many, many years. The recently retired director of the Sweetwater County Library System, Jason Grubb, who took having a fine arts center as a part of a library system with grace, because it's been questioned many times. And finally, long-term advisory board member and fine art photographer R.J. Pieper, along with our advisory board. We've got a couple of members of that board here tonight, too. They volunteer their time, knowledge, and passion, helping make Rock Springs a wonderful place to live. So thank you to all the patrons, students, and artists who walk in our doors. Thank you.
So now for this next one, I have to give a little story. You know, everyone this evening, it's my honor to have a chance to call them. And they all have, you know, comments like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. thank you so much. I can't believe I got this honor. In the case of Sue Simpson Gallagher, she said, oh my God, this means so much to me because you heard. Anne and Lynn both had gotten it, and she said, it really feels amazing to me. This next one was somewhat unique. You can only have unique, it's not somewhat. So it was unique. So when I called James Bama, I said, sir, are you sitting down? And he said, yes. And I said, well, and he said, now, just a second. I want to tell you, I'm on the toilet. True story. True story. When I said, you received the Governor's Arts Award, you can imagine what his next comment was. Imagine for yourselves. That's what arts are about. So I'd like to invite Don Schmaltz to the stage to give an acceptance speech on behalf of James Bama, who could not be here this evening.
You know, the reason that we are picking this up for Jim, he's going to be 96 years old in April. So when I decided that, and when I found out, well, I've been a member of this Arts Council. Actually, I'm commissioner for the state parks for the last 10 years, and tonight is the end gate. I've been on here 10 years, and it was the most thankful job I've ever had in my life. It's just been delightful, I promise you. However, when I decided to do this, first thing I did, well, Jim has been a friend of mine for 50 years. And when I called Al Simpson, and I said, Al, you don't suppose you could, Big Al said, you don't suppose you could, you could write a letter to the Historical Center, or maybe even the governor, and we'd get it all put together and for nomination for arts awards. And Al said, "You mean he's never been in there? Why the hell not?" You know. And by gosh, I needed a lot of help, and so that's the reason that we all got together here. When I first met Jim was back in about 72 or 3. And it was a cold morning one morning, and I was a young guy, an outfitter, and I was heading up this trail. Every year it seemed like there was more and more no trespassing signs on each side. And I'm trying to get up there with a couple of deer hunters, and it was cold. I had my collar up on my sheepskin coat, and I'm riding along, and all of a sudden I hear somebody from behind says, "Hey, you up there, hold up, please." I just stopped, and this guy jogs up alongside him, and he says, "I like the way you look." Well, that was a little bit, actually, he was embarrassed by it, and he quickly said, "Oh, I'm a famous artist, and I'd like to paint you." And so ever since then, we've been best friends, and when we, Michael told me to keep this down to 2 to 3 minutes, so I put everything on this little tiny card right here, and I did it in the sun back there in the room this afternoon, and now I can't read it because it's too little. Anyway, bear with me, please. Michael, I'm still trying to keep it down to 2 to 3 minutes. I guess I'm just about to the point to where, about 2 weeks later, after he wanted to do a painting of me, he said, he called me up there, and there I stood out there in a snowbank. He liked subdued lighting, and I'm holding my saddle until your wrist feels like it's about to break, because I got a hatchet on there and a saddlebags and a whole big heavy mountain saddle. and he paid me $55 and I had to sign a release. And I thought, man, that's pretty good money, you know, for an afternoon in 72 or 3. So anyway, ended up, when I found out that he got $66,000 out of it, it didn't bother me so much. Anyway, so who I've got, when I had this idea, and I went back and looked, and I seen where he had never been nominated, so I needed some help, though. I don't have, if it was gonna stop right there, and I went back and looked and realized he'd never been nominated, and so I needed some help. So my wife, Becky, and she's my supporter here, and then I got Scott and Nina Weber, and we got together and had dinner, and I said, we need to put this thing together for Jim Bama. And they live just down the road from him, and I lived right across the highway there too. But anyway, so, and Nina, by the way, is a new national committee woman for the Republican Party. And so she just flew in today and got here in time to be at this thing tonight. So anyway, I just want to thank everybody, and thanks to the Wyoming Arts Council and the state parks.
I just wanted to tell a story about Jim here that shows a side of him I don't think you all know. I will say this before I start. I have Don's oil, or not the oil, but I have a print right there on the kitchen, so I see his ugly mug every day that Bama painted. Usually when you speak to an artist, they will relate to you their particular use of their medium, their output, and the challenges of their work. But when you spoke to James Bama, at any point of his career, he talked only of the love of the Wyoming people, his subjects. And his subjects were the Wyoming people that we see in Cody every day. For James Bama was a master, not only of oil painting, but sketching, illustration, and photography. He was a master at the best, loving the Wyoming people. That's why his oils so resonate with life and character, as he got to really know each one of his beloved subjects, the good people of Wyoming. Let me relate a quick story about this. Back in the early 70s, Jim was hard on the hunt for subjects for his oil paintings. He haunted rodeos, mountain man rendezvous, powwows. He traveled to muzzleloading shoots and parades. He looked up Buffalo Bill's now elderly grandsons, and he sought out the descendants of Crazy Horse and Sitting Bull. Some of the people who sat for Jim Bama were older than the state of Wyoming. But the Bama house up on the North Fork, where we all live, was often filled with Jim's models who made medicine bags for him and gave him other tribal gifts like eagle feathers and fringed jackets with beadwork. And Jim gave them sketches and prints of their likeness. And sometimes he loaned them money. They loved him and he loved them. This man from the depths of New York City was all anybody ever talked about. His paintings were like magic. Some thought they were so good they were photographs, the ultimate compliment. One of his favorite places to find subjects was to stand at a Cody West Strip gas station below the North and the South Fork mountain ranges, where elk hunters and their guides and outfitters checked their big game with the game wardens and parked their horse trailers and truck rigs. They had all been in the mountains for 10-day stretches, and they looked and smelled like buffalo skinners. Once while Jim was scouting, a most colorful young guide came spilling out of one of the pickups. He had on blood-stained chaps, dirty cowboy hat, greasy vest, and a 6-gun around his waist with a cartridge-studded belt. His face was black with fire soot, and he had a long beard. His name was Brad Meeker. Jim raced up to Brad with unbridled enthusiasm and said, "Oh, man, I love the way you look." And Brad interrupted him and said, "Now, look, if you're one of them queers, I'll punch you right now, here and now." Well, Jim backed up a bit. No, I'm an artist. I'll pay you if you'll sit for me. I paint people just like you. Brad put his fist down and smiled. After that, they became such good friends that Jim and Lynn often referred to Brad Meeker as their son. Over the years, Brad often posed for Jim, and Jim gave him many sketches he'd done of him and some small oil studies. I have one of them in my collection. Well, Brad had two habits that doomed his health, unfortunately. He painted interior walls all day with lead-based paint, and he smoked 3 packs of cigarettes a day. By the time Brad was 50, it caught up to him, and he was on oxygen. Well, the doctors told Brad he'd have to go to a lower, drier climate without the winters, and that sounded like Arizona, but Brad didn't want to leave Cody. So one day Brad was up at Jim, and he said to Jim and Lim, "Hey, look, I'm a goner. My oxygen's way low. I got to move to Arizona, and I don't want to go. I'm not going to last too long. I come to say goodbye." Well, Jim and Lynn were devastated. This is their son, after all. And Jim said, "There's no way, nothing can be done." And Brad said, "Well, if I got a lung transplant, I might make it. It's a long shot, but I could make it." Jim started jumping up and down. "You got to do it, Brad. You got to do it." And Brad said, "Well, it's out of reach. It's going to cost $600,000 and maybe more." You know what Jim said? "Come by tomorrow, I'll have the money for you." Isn't that amazing? Well, Brad didn't want the surgery. He went to Arizona, and that was it. He lasted 3 months. Well, James Bama is Wyoming's greatest oil painter, and history, I think, will bear me out on that. But he was also one of Wyoming's greatest humanitarians. And now in his 96th year, his was a life well lived.
There went my 2 minutes.
So the other call that I made that was unique was to the Off Square Theater Company. So before we announce who's coming up, how about that performance? Unbelievable. So they must be busy because I left a message on the answering machine, and about, 3 weeks later, the county commissioner from Teton County called me. And I thought, uh-oh, here we go. County commissioner. But Natalia said, I'm calling you about, thank you for that call for the Governor's Arts Award. So can Natalia come up?
Thank you, Governor Gordon, and thank you for moving the podium for us. That was very kind. It's really a delight to be here with all of you tonight, and what a wonderful honor. And thank you to the Wyoming Arts Council and Governor Gordon for celebrating the arts in our great state. I'm Natalia Duncan-Macker, the producing artistic director of Off Square Theater Company, and it's my humble privilege to accept this tonight on behalf of our staff, our board of directors, the hundreds of students and artists that we work with, and the thousands of audience members and supporters that comprise the Off Square Theater Company family. Theater has been part of the human experience for millennia, evolving alongside our societies and cultures around the globe throughout time. Oscar Wilde described the theater as the greatest of all art forms, the most immediate way in which a human being can share with another the sense of what it is to be a human being. Theater is about storytelling and connection. It's about entertainment and laughter. It holds up the mirror, and it can provide a vehicle for having difficult conversations. Theater is about bringing all of us together, and our ability to stay connected and empathic has certainly been tested over the last 2 years, but we've all persevered through adaptation. And what we know at Offsquare Theater is what everyone in this room knows, is that the arts are about the regular practice of transformation. At Offsquare Theater, we thrive on collaboration and creative exchange, bringing together many voices, crafts, and artistic disciplines to create unique experiences that reveal the complex layers of humanity. What started as creative energy and collective action by a group of artists nearly 25 years ago has grown and evolved into the professional theater we are today, producing an annual season and providing theater arts education. We remain focused on supporting the next generation, not only by training in the artistic disciplines that make the magic of performing arts possible, but by providing the tangible skills needed to navigate our complex world. Skills that teach us how to connect, understand, and empathize with people who are different from us by literally putting ourselves in their shoes. As we look ahead, we're focused on accessibility, on continuing to bring underrepresented voices, artists, and stories to the stage, and strengthening and expanding our collaborations. Congratulations to all of tonight's honorees. It's really invigorating to be in the room. Usually I'm in rooms with a lot of elected officials like this, so this is really a lot more fun. I have no doubt that there isn't a problem that a group of artists can't solve. So Governor Gordon, if you need us, here we all are. And we at Offsquare Theater we look forward to working with all of you to write the next chapter in our state's creative life. Thank you.
Governor Gordon, thanks so much for hosting us all tonight. As Natalie has said, all these artists are waiting to help you out. So thank you all for joining us this evening as we celebrated both the 2020 and 2021 Governor's Arts Award recipients. Have a lovely evening and go enjoy some art.